please stand. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A couple of announcements. We have a busy weekend coming up next weekend. We have our spring egg hunt at 10 o'clock at the rec park on Saturday the 8th. And also on Saturday the 8th, we have the Landsman Hill Stocking Club Stocking Day, and that's at noon. So bring your own plastic bucket, and we'll be stocking at the hill. And then the following day is the fishing contest with 6 o'clock breakfast at the Legion, and followed by fishing, not to start before 7 a.m. So, well, everybody please join us. Does anybody else have any announcements? We have public hearings tonight for 3 local laws, and I'd like to open the public hearing on all 3 local laws. The first law is our solar farms law on tab 8, and our second law, local law, is related to affordable housing, and our third is the new uses for our civic zones 1 and 2. So the public hearing is open. Warren, would you like to speak, please?
Okay, so just a brief review of the solar farm law. Basically, we had a provision in our old zoning law which related to the solar and wind energy systems, which we have deemed not to be adequate under current standards for administration of these facilities. So the solar law basically rescinds whatever we have in our zoning law for solar and wind systems, and provides for a new solar energy law in which we are permitting several categories of solar facilities, rooftop or building mounted solar energy systems that generate electricity primarily for on-site constructions will be permitted as an accessory use in all zoning districts pursuant to the solar energy building permit granted by the code enforcement officer and zoning enforcement officer. Rooftop mounted solar energy systems, which are to be located in the Rhinebeck overlay district, shall, in addition to the solar energy building permit, require site plan approval. Freestanding or ground-mounted solar energy systems at ground to generate electricity primarily for on-site construction, and we have a definition of primarily in the law, shall be permitted as an accessory use in all zoning districts, but subject to the issuance of a solar energy system building permit and a grant or site plan approval by the planning board. And then the larger category of solar power plants shall be permitted either as ground-mounted or rooftop-mounted installations in certain specified districts, which are contained on page 7 of the law. And they will require site plan and special use permit approval by the planning board. The other provisions of the law relate to supplementary regulations with regard to setbacks, minimum acreage requirements, and safety requirements, installation requirements, a limit on the maximum generating capacity of the large-scale systems, and we have a provision in here for decommissioning these systems. We're not going to have anything that regulates decommissioning on rooftops for residences, but for other systems we are going to require that they have a protocol for decommissioning, and we may require a bond, especially for a large-scale system. So that's a very brief review of the law. This was created by a subcommittee of the town that I met with. We worked pretty hard on it, made several revisions to it, and looked at other laws that have been passed in other jurisdictions and took what we thought was the best. has any comments on this law, maybe we could open the public hearing for purposes of comments on
Are there
that.
any comments regarding the proposed law regarding solar and wind farms from the public? We have received several comments written that will be entered into the record. We haven't received comments from county planning yet, so we need to hold this open. And
No, we received comments from the planning board, and there are some comments from the planning board which I would like to review with the committee. One of our board members has submitted some comments which we will also review with the committee to see if we need to make any tweaks or changes in the law. And we'll see what comes in from county planning and take into consideration any recommendations or comments that they may have. So we're shooting towards having the law back. We're going to keep the public hearing open, and we'll have it back on the agenda for the April 18th meeting. Is that what we're talking about?
yeah, we're going to need to reschedule. Our April 10th meeting was inadvertently scheduled for the first night of Passover. We'll be canceling that later tonight, and I anticipate we'll be rescheduling for the 18th of April and also canceling our meeting on the 23rd of April. So the Tuesday, the 18th, is when we're looking to, I believe we're all available for that.
That's 6:45.
Or earlier, 6 if everybody can.
Then we'll put it off for
Yeah,
next
on the 18th.
Sure. I can't go through with that. Two of them, so I'm just going to go quickly, if you can get to part 2 of the environmental assessment form. Okay, then we'll defer that.
Until the April.
John, our department was supposed to supply the part 2 of the environmental assessment form. I haven't received that. So we'll put off doing the final secret review for the next meeting. Sorry, did you send that to me or did you send it to John? Because I don't have it.
I don't think you have the part 2 yet.
Oh, okay.
That'll be considered by the board at the next
Okay,
meeting.
so we'll do it at the next, we'll do the part 2 and hopefully issue what we call a negative secret declaration
Again,
unless something else comes up through for the county planning at the next meeting.
they're not due to the comments back. I think the 30 days is up on Wednesday. I talked to Ann
Yeah.
Seller. She was going to get them to us
Okay,
today.
so the only other issue that I need to
One more issue for this, that I know within here, I'm not going to be at this subcommittee meeting, that in the course of the review of a proposed development for a solar power planning board, we require an applicant to submit a view shed analysis. That is within our law. The 3 comments that we've received from residents of Rhinebeck are just please be mindful to have these not affect the view shed.
Yeah, there are provisions in the law which apply to that, and that certainly would be a major consideration in cases where the application is undergoing site plan approval or special use permit approval. So that will not be ignored. It will also be part of the seeker review for any application.
And we have heard back from the CAB too. Did you?
They're okay with it.
Yes.
They're okay. There's one other quick issue I want to raise with the board, and that is that these solar systems, these facilities, are exempt under Section 487 of the Real Property Tax Law for property taxes for a period of 15 years in order to induce the establishment of these facilities. The town has the power to opt out of that exemption, but we can only, if we do opt out, we have to opt out for private residence, solar facilities, ground-mounted solar facilities, and solar farms. You don't have the choice of opting out for one or the other. So my and if you allow the exemption to go through without opting out for the exemption, the town has discretion to require certain solar facilities to pay payments in lieu of taxes. We call them pilots. My recommendation, and we're going to discuss this further with the board, is that we do not establish a pilot for the first 2 categories of solar facilities, but do establish it for the commercial. We're trying to come up, though, with a reasonable pilot requirement, payment in lieu of taxes, and it will only apply to the town taxes. The school district would have to pass their own pilot program, and so would the county. But we're working to come up with something that's fair to the developers of these systems, so that we don't put an undue burden on them. We want to encourage them, but we would like to get some revenue. So I'm going to be working with the town board to see if I can come up with a pilot program that will make everybody not necessarily happy, but it would pass muster. And that has to be done through a town law. I'll be creating a town law, and it will be vetted by the public before we pass it. Just want you to be aware of that.
Okay, again, this is being held open until April 18th at 6 p.m.
And people can send in comments if they want to comments between now and then. Here.
Yes, 6 p.m.
The other public hearing that we have is the civic zone rezoning. This was, and I wanted to thank Art Bride, who worked very hard with us on the solar and the civic zone local law. He was a real help to us. He was the primary drafter of the civic zone 2 zoning law. And basically this just rezones the civic zone that the town has next to the town facility. We don't call it a dump anymore. It's transfer station facility. We own a fair amount of property out there, and it's now under our old zoning law, our current zoning law, zoned as a civic zone, which has very restricted uses. And we decided that there are other possible uses that we could make for that particular civic zone, not the other zoning civic zones, just that one. And we have that in our zoning law. And we permitted such additional uses as cell towers, subject to special use permit, and solar energy facilities, and a couple of other minor tweaks to what was permitted under the old civic zone. So this will only change that civic zone and create a new civic zone 2. And we did not get, we got favorable recommendation from the planning board on this. They are happy with it. And the CAB does not weigh in on it because it's not in our LWRP. And we haven't heard from the county, so we're going to put this over.
The 30 days isn't up until
We're
Wednesday.
going to put this over to April. But I'm anticipating that we're going to be able to pass this at the next town board meeting.
Are there any people here who would like to comment on this? It will be held open until the 18th, so there will be an opportunity.
One point, just following up on what Warren just said.
Could you please come up to...
Okay, a very brief comment. The passage of this civic legislation must be preceded or occur concurrently with the passage of the solar legislation.
Yes.
It cannot precede.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Right, because we allow it in the...
Because we have the linkage.
Yes, thanks, Art.
That was caused by our new zoning board members, so I told them that we were aware of that, so we'll take care of that. The other is the affordable housing local law, and I wasn't really involved in it. There's an affordable housing committee that worked on this for a period, I think, of 7 years. There is an affordable housing local law currently in our zoning law, but there are certain additional regulations that had to be passed by the town board in order to implement the affordable housing provision of the zoning law. So the committee came up with, after a fair amount of work, with this local law, which basically removes the old affordable housing provision of the law and substitutes the new one. This is a fairly complex document. We did receive some comments already on this. We anticipate that the county will probably want to weigh in on this. So we're not taking any action on this local law tonight. Public can comment on it as they wish tonight. We're going to leave it open, I think, for a period of 2 months, because we want an opportunity to digest the comments and discuss it with the Affordable Housing Committee and perhaps some members of the planning board, and see if we can come to terms on possible changes, if that's warranted, in the law before we finally adopt that. So we can leave this open for public hearing. We're not going to do a secret review of this. The environmental review of this was done in conjunction with the environmental review that we did for the comprehensive plan and the zoning law. It didn't appear to me that what we were proposing in the new law would require a supplemental environmental impact statement, but we're going to hold off on making a decision on that until we come up with a final product, and hopefully in 2 months we might have something. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to comment on the law tonight, the public hearing is open, and you can comment in addition in writing within the next 2 months and at the next.
Do we have a date? Are we going to hold this open until the 18th and then hold it open again, or how would you like to?
Why don't we just take it off the agenda for the 18th and put it off to the May meeting?
That would be May 8th or May 22nd.
If you want me there, we just. How about the 22nd?
It's fine.
That'll give us a little bit more time.
22nd at 6:45. Thank you, Lauren. Anybody here want to say anything about any of this, or can we move on? Thank you. We're holding over, we're continuing in April and May. Thank you. I'd like you to stay, I'd like to jump ahead to item number 7, Warren, if you could stay for that. Did you have a chance to look at the stipulation?
We had a question about it. You ended up with a tax yard.
Yeah. Let's do item number 7 and then we'll.
Okay.
You don't see a,
It's yeah, I guess we have to do it.
yes, we have to make a motion to get it to the floor. Thank you for coming, everybody. Any committee or liaison reports? I'm going to skip ahead to item number 7. I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2017-083, a request for proposal for the Thomas Thompson Sound Meadow Community Park Pavilion project, a rebid or redid. May I have a second? Is there any discussion? I'm sure there's some discussion. Let me just find it down here. This, we, as our resolution says, we bid this out in July of 2016, and then again in September of 2016. We've had the hindsight and all that information to work on the specs for the bid, and we believe now that we've got it in a good place. Thanks to Frank Mazzarella for staying on top of this and changing what we can change to bring this in. Also within this resolution, we've asked that our engineers deliver one paper copy and the rest as electronic copies, so that we're not surprised by four-figure copying and binding bill. Sally, did you want to speak to this at all, or you?
Hey, Frank, why don't you just summarize exactly?
So as you know, last time we went out to bid, is this working?
It's supposed to be on. Take the, there's a little in there, Frank.
So, the last time we went out to bid, we were very close to the lowest bid came in very close to the funding we currently have. However, there was a deficit. So, after that, we began speaking to contractors and seeing what were the additional things that we could do to make this project within the limit of the current funding, and also do some additional fundraising, which we've also done. So, at this moment, we have about additional $70,000 which has been raised, and there are also in measures, so we're providing within the current bid package 7 alternates, deduct alternates to allow us to piece this together a little bit like we've done last time, but also in speaking with specific contractors who placed the bids and subcontractors, what things could we do? So I went through, we modified the drawings, the engineers have done some work on their end. In addition to the alternates, other items which create an effort to bring the bids down. And we've also, received an estimate from another contractor, which actually came in at a number very heartened to see. It was actually very close to the original cost estimate we had presented. It was under around $400,000. So we think that maybe we were closer really than we thought. It's just a matter of finding the right contractors who, with this kind of prevailing wage issue, are able or willing to make the effort and bring it in. So we think we're very close.
Great. I know county planning has been graciously cooperating with us, and we have an extension on the CDBG, and that's our time to charm. Thank you both for all your hard work on it. Is there any further discussion or any questions? All in favor?
I'm going to disqualify myself the ethics board.
Recusing.
My membership.
Recusal? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Because we have Warren here again, I'm asking for privilege of going off the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to bring the certiorari agreement to the floor, an agreement between the town of Rhinebeck and Mike and Cynthia Ostro. May I have a second? This was a late fax that I received today from our certiorari attorney who represents the assessors in the towns for property tax issues. And Warren, you had a question?
I just had a question on this. It's my understanding that it's only 1 year of taxes. It's the 16-17 tax. And the bill would have already gone out. The agreement, as I understood it, is that they were going to waive the refund of the
That's what I
town
was
portion.
told.
But there's no language in there about this. And the concern that I have is that I think what they were trying to do is to, if they could get a new tax bill issued within the time period, which may expire in a few days.
At the end of the week.
Then they wouldn't have to worry about they could issue a new tax bill, wouldn't have to worry about the refund. The problem is that I think that this has got to go to the judge, it's got to be approved by the county attorney's office. I'm just concerned that it might not come into effect by the end of the week. And if you don't have language in here about the waiver, you're not going to get the waiver of the refund.
I'm confused. Are you concerned that we won't get the waiver, or that it's improperly timed?
It's been set up with the hope that you'll be able to get this all signed and approved and get a new tax bill out for the state, county, and town tax for this year. If you get the new bill, then they would pay the new bill rather than paying on the old bill, and then there would be a refund that would have to be paid by the town. What I'm concerned about is that the intent of the agreement
Timing's too
was
tight.
to waive the refund. It may not work. So I would just urge you can approve it subject to the tax certiorari attorney just giving you some assurance that if for some reason the new bill is not issued, that there should be alternative waiver language in here, so that you're not stuck with paying the refund on the overpayment of the state, county, and town tax.
Can we approve it in principle and you talk to the tax certiorari attorney to see if language has to be changed in that?
I don't want to step on her toes, but I can if you want me to do that.
I'm happy to talk to Karen
I
or
guess I'm
the
already
assessor.
stepping on her.
Yeah, exactly. They can say-
But I do a lot of this, and I just am just concerned that this, that it
However
doesn't
you
work.
guys wanna-
If you don't get it in time, we're gonna have to pay a refund on it.
Yeah, I think, Warren, it sounds like it's legal wording that we're talking about.
If you want to talk to her tomorrow morning, and then
No,
I'll,
you can,
it may be quicker if I just call her.
I'm sorry, John?
Warren, is your concern the timing of the order getting signed, or the timing of the tax bill, the new tax bill getting
You
issued?
can't issue the new tax bill until it's signed by the judge.
And it can't be issued then for now? I mean, the judge signs this on April 1st, notwithstanding the fact that new penalties have kicked in, that's an issue. It's the-
Is that the date that you can send a revised tax bill out by?
The rolls are
that-
going out
okay.
now.
No, so the bills,
The bills have already been issued for the state, county, and town, but they're counting on issuing a revised tax bill
well,
to avoid the necessity for paying a refund.
well, my warrant right now extends to April 30th, and I was filed for an extension to May 31st. So I'm collecting through May 31st. Is that the issue?
No,
No.
no.
No, the issue is that you've already sent out the tax bill,
Right.
okay? The agreement that was reached to reduce the assessment by $754,000, which is a large reduction, is, the way it was explained to me, was premised on there being a waiver of the town's refund of the portion of the state, county, and town tax bill, which was overassessed. Okay. The way we usually do that is that we just waive it. You put language in there and say that they will not ask for any refund. What they have, the way they've set up this order is that they're hoping to get a revised tax bill in before the deadline. And if then they can pay on the revised tax bill.
I guess my question is, what's the deadline?
That's,
You know what?
I was told it's Friday.
Why don't you call Karen Hagstrom tomorrow and figure it out?
I'll call her and try to.
And that's some kind of tax collection deadline?
I spoke to the assessors today. I didn't speak to Karen Hagstrom. I talked to Jennifer Munn on the way over. She asked me to get this approved. She approved this. So anything else outside of that, whatever you guys want to do.
All right,
What
so
tax-
the last fact is that I worked with the county commissioner's finances office last week to issue a new tax bill. So the new tax bill is actually, it's
For
not
this?
issued. Yeah, in other words, the work has been done, so it's a matter of printing it out.
They can issue a new tax bill without this one.
No, but we did the math. So the work is done.
I understand, but they can't you can't issue the new tax bill until this order is signed by the judge.
Correct. But it's me that's going to be issuing it, not county.
No, I understand,
Okay.
but you may not be able to get this order signed by the judge by whatever that deadline
Okay,
is.
and I guess what I don't know is, I don't understand what the deadline is.
Well, she said it was Friday.
Okay.
So
That's the unknown here.
All
pretty,
right, we're beating this to death. So
Just one
I,
question.
yeah.
What tax are we talking about? The school tax?
No.
Or the tax that we
Town.
paid,
town
that
and
was
county.
paid in January?
Town
Or
and
was
county.
due, okay,
He probably did not pay the January, hoping that
right.
they would issue a new tax bill, which would all work fine if the new tax bill can be sent out, because the deadline for that.
Okay.
And if you don't, then he has to pay taxes on the old tax bill, and then we have to pay the refund. well, the county pays the refund and then taxes it back.
Okay.
We want to avoid that, so just want to make sure that that's avoided. Okay. You want this, because she's going to want you to sign this. Do you have a copy of it? I mean, is this the only copy we have?
That's an email copy.
Huh?
That's an email copy.
Okay, so you can just print that out. Okay. All right, I'll call Karen. See what I can do.
What action are we taking on this?
I think you should take authorizing the supervisor to sign this as soon as the issue regarding the language of the order is resolved, which I'm hoping I can do tomorrow.
Any further discussion?
Was there a second?
So,
Yes, it was seconded by Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. So I'll wait to hear from you. I'll wait to hear from you tomorrow.
Yep.
Back to our regular schedule. I'll make a motion for resolution 2017-077, preliminary accounts payable abstracts, 3D vouchers, 181 through 250, 34 checks totaling $496,305.53. May I have a second? For the public, the reason why this is so high is because this is the, thank you, Lauren. This is the voucher when we are paying all of our fire departments, the taxes we collect for the two fire departments, and the payments for the town fire protection district, as well as the village's water bill. Is there any further discussion? Any other issues with the vouchers or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion, or I will look for motion for resolution 2017-078, brush drop-off. May I have a motion? May I have a second? This is, any discussion?
yeah, I think we gotta have a start date. I think we start on the last Saturday in April. So I think that should be added. It should be amended.
For how many weeks, Joe?
I don't know how many weeks, but it goes from, I think,
April 29th?
well,
It's
is
the
that
last
last Saturday
Yes.
in April?
Yep.
I don't remember if it goes through October or November.
I think it's November or until it snows.
So it'll be the last Saturday in November unless it snows earlier.
Yes.
Why do we have to amend this? Can't that just be a scheduling issue?
We pass it this way every year.
Yeah, this is how we pass it every year.
Okay, so, but it's understood that we're gonna ask him to start,
That's how we always, yeah.
that's fine.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So
So we're gonna inform Barry to tell him when to start.
I'll make a motion for resolution 2017-079, town hall use applications for the Santa Claus annual event and artisan fair. May I have a second?
Second.
Further to this, and before we talk about passing it, which I support, I want to talk about changing the process for this. It used to be that the town clerks scheduled this, and our policy just allowed for the clerks to schedule a usage. For some reason, we kicked it to the town board, I think, to check on insurance certificates, but there are no insurance certificates. This is covered under our insurance. So I'd also like to suggest that we revert this to the town clerks, and we not hold up people for having to come to the town board for usage of their own town hall. Let's talk about the use in front of us. Is there any further discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. John, was there a resolution passed that said that the town board had to?
I looked for a
I don't-
policy,
yeah.
I haven't found one.
Can we agree that the clerks will schedule the town hall, and if there's anything out of the ordinary, they'll bring it to the town board?
I think that'd be fine.
Is that all right with you?
As long as John wants to.
Well, unfortunately, we did have the woman for political purposes
use the town hall,
I
except for
thought there
commercial
was somebody
use.
who came in
I
on
think it was.
a political thing last time, and we said no. But why, I guess it's always been this way since I've been on the board for 7 years. Well,
Well, we
Why
changed, I think
change
it
it?
changed when you were on the board, because it's a complication, and people get held up having to come for us for permission. It limits the use if we don't have a meeting in session. And we don't want to limit the people's use of their own property, I think.
that's fine, I don't care.
Anybody else have any, I mean, can we just revert it to the clerks and trust that anything that needs to come before us?
They'll bring to
I believe
Or any
that.
conflict.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Resolution 2017-080, I'll make a motion for Recreation Department hires for 2017. Camp director, assistant camp director, sports leader, swim team, head coach, arts and crafts leader, cashier, lifeguards, and counselors. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I will make a resolution for, I will make a motion for resolution 2017-081, pool, swim lesson, swim team, and camp prices for the 2017 summer recreation program. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is this the same as last year? or
It
is
says right in the resolution that the prices are unchanged for 2016. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Make a motion for resolution 2017-082, engaging the Chazen companies to submit a variance request letter to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation seeking permission to submit landfill gas monitoring reports annually instead of quarterly. This will save us a little, may I have a second?
Second.
This will potentially save us about $1,300 a year, so we'd like to see if we can do it.
1,300 out of the 900 feet.
$13. I think the fee that they charge us each year to do all the work is closer to $5,000. So this would be a $1,300 savings to do one report instead of 4
I see.
quarterly reports. I think that it's not divided by 4 because the one report is a little bit more in depth.
My recollection is they charge about $6,700, and I think you tasked me during the budget process to speak to Chase, and I did speak to...
Well, this is for landfill, this is for the quarterly reports, which is only a portion of what they do for
Right,
us.
but if I may finish, that you tasked me to speak to Chase and on how we can get our bills down, and they suggested that we go to the state and ask to defer quarterly reports on, I think, gas emissions. And they informally spoke to the DEC, and they got a favorable response. So we think once we put the letter in, that we will save each year for a number of years on the fee.
See, the only thing is I don't understand why they're charging us $900 to write the letter.
I don't know how complicated the letter is.
Do you want to look into that with them?
I can certainly talk to the person, but why don't we approve it so we don't
And you,
hold it up, and I'll talk to them on the...
any further
fee.
discussion? Thanks, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thanks, and you'll call them. We've done 7, new business. I have a couple of items. One is just, I want to make sure that you know that we're canceling the meeting on the 10th. We're rescheduling for the 18th at 6 p.m. and we're also canceling our meeting for the 24th of April. The idea being that the 18th will cover both of them. Meg Crawford came to me today. She's on the Village Tree Commission. our columnar oak that was planted on the west side of the building on Center Street died. It was a very hot summer, watered enough, the heat killed it. She wants to order one for us. I told her to go ahead. It might be a cost of up to $90 for the town. If we say no, she'll try and sell the tree, or hopefully she won't order it tomorrow. But I'd like to go ahead and order it, if that's okay with you guys.
This is to water the tree.
It
out.
died, it died.
This one died.
Palmer died, yes. Center Street.
And that's a tree I've always been worried about, that'll grow tall, cast a shadow over our solar panels.
Take care of it. And we did it.
But,
I
yeah,
took care of it.
my part, I would let that particular tree die since we put a lot of money into the solar panels and to get a tree right there to shade those panels.
But when they present it to us, it's not going to shade, it doesn't grow that high, and it,
So it'll be a different kind of tree.
that was the
than-
Palmer oak that was chosen not to put shade on it, so. Right? Do you have some new business?
Yes, I do. Tab 11, can you take a look at that? This is a carryover from our last meeting on Steinmeier's options. He wants to build a cemetery, he wants to
Retaining
address
wall.
plans for the cemetery wall. So I'm asking you tonight if you could pick option A or B, right? Because then we can move on to our RFP with this.
I thought we were going to bid them out both ways, weren't we?
Well,
We were going to bid them out B and then B faced, correct?
no, here's what happened. The cemetery committee chose option A. It lasts 67 years.
A is the concrete.
No.
Dry lake
It's
stone.
rather- Concrete is more expensive, and I know, in answer to your question about drawing up both plans, it would cost more money.
I'm sorry, I thought we were going with B, I thought B was less expensive.
No, concrete is more expensive.
Yeah, that's my recollection, the concrete was more
More
expensive.
expensive.
But it's gonna last longer.
100 years as opposed to 60 or 70 years on option A. And the committee chose option A, and that's really up, but we should make a choice.
Why? What was their reason?
We just thought 67 years would be fine.
60 years is okay.
Because I think the expense of option B would probably be,
Okay, I remember now, yeah, it was an extra 30 or 40 years for an extra 50 or 60%.
but I'm asking you if you could pick one of the options tonight so that.
Do you have a
we can-
recommendation, the committee
Yeah,
recommended?
recommended A.
I'm fine with the committee's
I guess
recommendation.
I don't understand why we're not going out for both. I would have picked B. I would pick the one that's gonna last
Well,
longer
yes.
since we're gonna be spending over $100,000 on this.
Well, again, it's up to you, it doesn't matter, if you pick whatever you want, but they want you to make a choice one way or the other.
Well, how much more would it be to get a bid on both?
Well, you have to draw up the specs for both plans, it's gonna cost more money.
I thought he has the specs or the pictures.
It's actually drawn up.
Do we know how much more it would cost?
No, I don't.
To me, I would have chosen the cement because it's gonna last longer.
It's up to you guys. I'll go with whatever you say.
I go with the committee's recommendation, I'm happy with that.
I'm going with the community.
The differential is pretty large, so the cost differential.
Yeah.
60%, I think.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what was that?
Differential between A and B was,
Me too.
Was
Cost
what?
differential.
I'm sorry, Ed, was how much?
It was, the cost differential was a lot more option B than the first for A.
Right, we think it's gonna be more expensive, but till you go out and bid, you don't know how much more expensive it is, so.
But the idea here is they don't want both plans all drawn out because it's going to cost a lot of money to do both, they want you to pick one.
Right, but again, how much is a lot?
alright.
I guess to me, that we really ought to have, how much more is it gonna cost? And why are we taking the shorter one? I know 60 years sounds like a long time, but for those people on the board 60 years from now, they're gonna be scrambling for money. We're using, I think, some of the trust money that has been freed up. So I guess I'm surprised at the recommendation. I thought,
Okay, so you say B,
I say both. Well, what I say is, let's find out how much more it would cost to
Okay,
draw
got it.
the.
Yeah, we ought to be able to get an estimate of the cost of asking for bids on both options versus the cost of asking for bids on just option A.
They want to move forward with the RFP, that's the issue here. This is getting bogged down.
I'm fine to support what the committee recommends, it's up to the board. So you'd like to go out for a bid for both?
No, I'm suggesting that we ask them to give us an estimate of the cost of preparing the request for a bid for option A and the cost of asking for bids on A and B. If the architectural design cost, assuming it's an architect or engineer, whichever, if the difference
Okay.
is large, then obviously we wouldn't ask for
Okay, so
both.
this will have to be tabled. Could you please go back to Stanmeyer and ask him how much it would cost to prepare a set of plans for bidding it out both ways? So we'll table it.
Versus doing one number, we
Yes.
need two numbers.
A and B. We need a cost to bid out A or B and a cost to bid out A and B together. What it would cost for him to draw up both plans to go out the warrant.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll table this. Thank you. And did you have another piece of new
Yes, I
business?
do like to give this.
I did, it's in terms of the Lincoln.
This was a suggestion for volunteer recognition day. Yeah.
I think so.
It's on the drawing board, but Mr. Scott, Elaine Hernandez of the Recreation Committee, and I had a luncheon honoring all the district firemen and the town volunteers and committees, as well as boards. It would be held in the recreation park. We have a total number of volunteers that have come up with a 223.
I'm sorry, how many?
223 volunteers, including all
Did you
firemen.
get this here, Joe?
I got that, I didn't see a number, but maybe I,
Yes.
yes.
Third line, third paragraph.
Everything is really on here, but you really have to think about this because you did mention there was a Christmas party.
Every year we do a staff Christmas party where the staff does it for our volunteers. I'm all for, this, funding is of course an issue. How are we going to fund it? What are we going to do? So are more plans going to come to us? I mean, I think anything we do that's positive to thank people is really good. So I'd like to see how it unfolds.
I'd like to have the local restaurants contribute and donate food. That would be 90% of the issue right there.
I just feel like local businesses are tapped so much for, every fundraiser going on here. That,
I don't want to tax the town board with a lot of money issues. This isn't looking.
why don't you guys look into it and see where it goes? I mean, I think it's a great idea. And you worked on this. Woodstock has a good tradition.
Yeah, that's
near
cool.
West Rica.
I got all this information from Woodstock.
So how do you want to proceed? You want to work on it more?
We can work on
I think
it.
it's
As long as you
great.
give us the okay to go forward with that.
I think you could look into it as much as you like. Everybody else? Anybody else?
We have pretty much the plans, so just find out the restaurants.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, whatever I could do to help, I'd be happy to. I think we have a lot of great volunteers, and it's nice for them
That's
to know that they're
volunteer
appreciated.
important.
One other thing is that the Devereaux group has invited me to an event on the 10th, and I'm going to be out of town. Would anybody like to, is anybody available to go? And it's the advisory board, the Devereaux Advanced Behavioral Health Special Event, small group of community business owners and government officials, educators, and healthcare professionals to have breakfast with us and learn more about who we are and what we do. It's not a fundraiser, it's a community strengthening. I would have gone if I were in town. I thought I'd ask if anybody wanted to
10th of
attend
April,
in the morning for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm not available.
Okay,
1 second.
sure.
What time is it?
Breakfast time. I don't have the full.
I'll do it.
Okay, I'll forward this to you, Chauncey.
Okay. We may have to leave the tag early, but I have a 10 o'clock appointment, but I suspect we'll be all right.
I think it will.
Okay.
We had a meeting, I called a meeting on Friday with members of the Rhinebeck soccer league and the field partnership, and myself and Alan, who's liaison to the Thompson-Mazzarella Power Committee, Elaine Fernandez, our rec director, Warren Plansky, our attorney, and Sally Mazzarella and Michael Trumbull representing Planning Board and Park. And the purpose of the meeting was to figure out how we can move forward to get these fields planted in October. Within the course of that meeting, we also discovered that we're having an issue with dogs running wild on the Stone Church fields. Running wild maybe is an exaggeration, but we have a lot of dog feces there because of the dog run. People, and so what we found is that since the dog run opened in 2014, we only have 12 people signed up now. So we've collected $2,700 in revenue in the 3 years that it's been open, and it's, while good intentioned, it seems to be causing problems with people bringing dogs and letting them run around the fields. So we've reached out to Robert McKeon, the supervisor of Red Hook. We have an intermunicipal agreement for the dog park. It's on town land in the town of Red Hook. We're going to be looking at it more. I just wanted to make you all aware that there are issues going on there.
I gave Elaine some comments, and I'm sure she'll relay it to the board, but I think it does require board action if we close it up. I think it requires notice to the people who use it.
We have 12 permits out for it right now.
Right, but
We would, if we closed it, and I don't know that's what we're going to do, I would want to refund them their money, so, but.
And I guess what hit me is that the dog park is separate from the ball fields, behind the ball fields. If we do something with the dog park, how does that change anything at the ball fields? It seems it's a different area, but I think we certainly should discuss it.
Came up with any.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any other new business? Before we come back to take public comment, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a matter pertaining a particular employee. And we'll do that. May I have a second?
Second.
Is that like employment history?
Yes. And performance.
I think we want to.
Thanks, thank you, everybody. We had a personnel issue to discuss. Joe, when's the shared service meeting with the county? It's on the 4th? You know, Joel Tyner?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Shared
What is
service
it, Joe?
meeting with the county is
I
on
am humbled and ashamed to admit, I do not know this. But 4862,000 will reveal that answer.
Okay, so we have Joel Tyner here, everybody.
Try to be better informed next time. Just a couple quick things, a little bit of good news. For about 20 years, I've been researching and exposing the pay-to-play in county government. There's a Republican in the Dutchess County legislature named Mark Coviello from Beekman, who was willing to co-sponsor with me a Dutchess County version of the Orange County law. And that's big news. The Ulster County controllers came out very strongly last year. At the Ulster report, it's been pay-to-play. Orange County, 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, passed a very strong law for county level campaign finance form bank pay-to-play. So I just want to give a shout out to my brother from the other side of the aisle, Mark Coviello. Hopefully we get that passed this year. Can't do it alone. If you want to come to the next county legislature meeting, it's April 11th, 7 p.m. on the 6th floor of 22 Market Street. The Poughkeepsie Journal this past weekend had a big front page piece about Lee community in Beacon, and the #1 contaminant in the single stream recycling, the huge operation they do down there, is plastic bags. And I've been saying for many years, there's been media coverage on this, and me and other people saying we should ban plastic bags in Dutchess County, the thin, skinny, little single-use ones. The village of New Paltz did that a few years ago. There's other communities.
How did it go for New Paltz?
It seems to be working decently. I mean, it hasn't tumbled into the sea, so to speak. There was a business owner quoted in the Poughkeepsie Journal on the weekend saying that they were able to deal with it. Of course, the legislation would not ban the reusable bags. I hope everybody's using those at the top.
We can do that town we can do a town law here.
I would love to help you with that. And again, kudos on the model legislation as far as facilitating and helping solar and wind. Thank you for doing that. So yeah, as far as the legislation to ban plastic bags, Alan Lipper here in the village has been pushing me on that. A lot of people, I can't do it alone. Send emails to all 25 of us county legislators at duchessny.gov. Sometimes I do an Earth Day event, sometimes I don't. I spoke with John, the town clerk, earlier. The day before Earth Day is April 21st. So on Friday, April 21st at 5:30, right in this room, doing a Earth Day art contest. And it's an I Love the EPA art contest. So if you can somehow work the Environmental Protection Agency into your art, bring your art here. There's a bunch of artists whose names I'm not going to mention now, but in the past they've co-sponsored some of my similar activities on this, and I'm pretty sure they're going to work with me on this. So that's Friday, April 21st, day before Earth Day, 5:30, right in this room. And I Love the EPA Earth Day art contest. That same day at 4:30, it's going to be a busy day, in front of the county office building, doing a pre-Earth Day press conference and rally about banning toxic toys, the pesticide notification that Drake Grant pushed me on, the late great Drake Grant, and the well testing legislation when properties change hands. That is going to be a testament to Rob Ascomino, the Westchester County Executive, because in Westchester, they ban toxic toys, they have pesticide notification, and they have the well testing legislation. We don't have any of that here in Dutchess County. There was a big announcement today from the Attorney General for the country, Jeff Sessions.
You know that we're working with Riverkeeper on water quality control, both with the Hudson and stream and into well stuff.
I saw Dan Shapley's, and I'm so glad he's living in Rhinebeck now.
Yes.
Dan Shapley's presentation, it looks like the village is working on that.
Yep.
I consider myself very well aware and informed. I did not know until recently that Sacramento County, Arapahoe County, Jefferson County, in California and Colorado, and New York City, literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in settlements, lawsuits, when communities decided to do ICE detainers, work with the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and hold guys an extra couple days. They've lost lawsuits, and the taxpayers had to settle up. Also in Nebraska, Rhode Island, and even in Oregon, all over the country. And so the Attorney General just today released, in the last week, released another announcement saying, listen, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution says that it's actually illegal. The federal government cannot compel the states or cities, towns, villages to enact or administer a federal regulatory program. So I'm just pointing that out as far as the Freedom Counties, Freedom Cities, and Sanctuary. There's a bunch of us every Monday, 5:30. We got a 4-foot by 15-foot. We're all immigrants, banners. You can join us right in the middle of Rhinebeck there at the light. Mondays, 5:30 to 6:30. The last thing I was going to mention is that hybrid vehicles. For over a decade, I've been pushing the county to be a little bit more like Westchester, New York City, with the hybrids, because in their bus fleet and their county vehicle fleet, they have tons of hybrids. They are paying for themselves as far as maintenance and fuel costs. The DEC and NYSERDA have been bending over backwards over the last year to really make it easy for cities, towns, villages, and counties to get super low-cost hybrids, plug-in electric vehicles, 100% electric vehicles, and Dutchess County is not moving off the dime. Last year, I was literally on the phone with the top experts on this issue all over the country, and still, Dutchess County wouldn't get off the dime. There's going to be $800,000 voted on in the next month or two. The next meeting is April 11th. Wouldn't it be nice if at least a few of those in the county fleet that we're going to vote on would be plug-in electric or hybrids? And again, just across the river, you got National Geographic recognized the Ulster County government for being so environmental. They have plug-in hybrid charging stations, 11 of them, in Ulster County government all over. So thank you. I want to welcome Town Board Member Walker. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to say anything you'd like me to cover?
Hi, my name's Lee Hunter.
Hi, Dave.
Grew up here, born here, went to California for the last 26 years, and just moved back. New York City is trying to do something called ranked choice voting.
I'm sorry, doing what?
Ranked choice voting.
Right, sure.
Right. And it's gonna require a change in the state law to allow it to happen. But basically, it's where, when you vote, you rank your ballot first, second, third choice. So, and if, when, after all the first choice votes are counted, if no candidate has 50% plus one of the vote, the first one, the candidate with the least amount of votes is eliminated, and the second choices of that candidate are redistributed to the remaining candidates, and that's repeated.
Does it happen anywhere? Does it happen in Atlanta?
No, it happens in San Francisco, Berkeley, San Leandro, St. Paul, Minnesota, and the state of Maine just passed it. And New York City is trying to get it right
Now, that's just for city officials?
now. For New York, yeah. And
For New York City
same
officials.
for all the cities.
Does it apply to all elections or only local city elections?
Well, if we pass it here, we're just be for the town and village. But I'm also talking to the legislator, maybe countywide. But it's something that I've worked on. I even went to the last campaign there about 10 years ago. I worked on it. It went down, but anyway, it's a good electoral reform. It guarantees majority winner. And I just sort of was, this is all spontaneous.
Are you asking us to look into it for the town, or are you just making us aware of it for a state level?
Well, I would like it for the town and village. But
that-
right now, I'm just making you aware of it and
Great, we'll look
presenting
into
you
it.
the idea.
Thank you.
Had I thought about it beforehand, I would have brought materials for you.
That's all right, thank you for making us aware, and we're glad you're back. Thanks. Anybody else? Any other business, any other, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Passover.